So they say 3 times is a charm, right? Right. So this is the third take, and I just want to say this is Short Hills Live in the Middle East, and I'm your host, Alyssa. Hi, everybody. I sure do miss my sidekick who's in heaven. And I just know he's looking down, listening, going, it is about time you get your mic out, bust your mic out, and start talking and start working. So here I am. I have tried this all morning long, having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm here with you. So, what a moment. So it all kind of started, well, it's been going on, as y'all know from the news. But I would love, if you're listening now, to just make sure that you know the truth and that you share the truth. And that is why I created Short Hills Live in the Middle East, to get discussions going and to begin to learn and hear about the truth coming out of Israel. That said, last night, in just an amazing show of Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, a gigantic flag was presented at the Western Wall, or we like to say, Kotel Ma'aravi. And then we all woke up this morning to this bizarre attack in this white car, and we see this religious guy as the driver. And what we soon learned was that it's crazy. Him and his passengers were attacked by a mob of insane Arabs that tried to pull them out of the car afterwards, after the car was out of control and hit the curb. And thank God a security guy came by and shot up in the air. And I mean, that didn't hold back the Arabs from attacking the poor guy who, and in my moment of trying to make things a little bit easier to deal with, I, of course, noticed his Ralph Lauren white shirt bloody and his white head bandage, which I'm not too sure when that happened because they began the lynching as soon as his car hit the curb. But I just must say that he definitely looked like the Tom Cruise of the Middle East, and next to the security guard, the whole thing looked so Hollywood, but in fact, it was real and terrifying. And then we've just had this bizarre day. I just want to say to you that, like, right now, if I went outside, I could hear a pin drop, and I can tell you from inside, just listening outside, I literally can hear people putting their dishes away. That is how quiet it is here in Tel Aviv tonight. Wow, so let's go back a little further, is that people were celebrating Yom Yerushalayim Day. It's a very lovely day of celebrations, being very proud of the reunification of the Kotel, of the old city of Jerusalem. I don't have much insight into this day, so I am not the facts person. That's why I really need a facts guy or girl. But the truth of it is, it's a proud day, a lot of flags, a lot of observant people, very happy, dancing, singing. And it's also Ramadan here in this country of coexistence. And right over, so if you were looking at the wall, if you came to visit and you looked at the wall and you went all the way up and looked up, besides seeing birds and nests and things, you could go over that wall, and that other side of that wall, you could have an Arab with his feet up on the wall watching television or something. And then there is this area, and you all know the gold dome. Under that gold dome, in the ground, is something called the Temple Mount, which is now suffocated by the mosque on top of it with this very gold, gaudy roof. which is not the most important mosque in that area. Actually, a few meters away is a more important mosque with a black roof and very modest, but no one seems to really talk about that, especially Rashida Tlaib, the U.S. Congresswoman, who loves to get her nose involved in somewhere that she is physically not. But that said, so there's a lot going on. Sorry, you're hearing beeps and this. Everybody's checking in. It's a very tense time. But so I just want to get through the story is that there is a lot of talk about certain homes in a specific area of East Jerusalem. They are owned by Jews for many years, and the renters never paid their rent, and those happen to be Arabs who were living rent-free off of these owners. And so the courts finally decided to give the property back to the owners, but it is Ramadan and then Yom Yerushalayim, and it's a balagan, as we say, big balagan here in Israel. And the violence has been insane for, is it the last week, I would say? The Arabs have been throwing bottles and rocks and hand-to-hand combat against police and soldiers. It's shocking, really. It's really, really shocking. That said, you have the Jews on one side dancing and singing, and you have angry Arabs celebrating supposedly a sacred holiday, Ramadan, by throwing rocks and trying to murder and injure people severely. It just doesn't really make sense. So at about 4 or 5, I guess it was, Hamas put out a threat and said, if you don't stop, if you don't get off the Temple Mount, if you don't get out of those homes or stay away from that area, at 6 o'clock, we're going to do something. And, you know, they threat. And they actually came through. 6 rockets came pouring down on Jerusalem, and everybody went running for their shelters. It's a really weird video also. I don't know if anyone else saw it, but there were so many people outside celebrating Jerusalem Day, and they asked them to just sit down during the siren on the streets, and they calmly and peacefully did that. I don't know. I would have run. Some people ran for shelter. The whole thing is just so surreal and so bizarre. And, you know, I'm in Tel Aviv, and I'm not a great boom or siren person. Can't get used to it, won't get used to it. But as someone just told me, you never get used to it. You just learn how to deal with it better. Cope with it. We cope with it. I'm not too sure. So, all right, I'm not going to get into the details of really what went down, but I kind of get paralyzed by these threats and things. But somehow I made it outside the apartment, went for my run, woohoo, came back and learned about that Jerusalem was rocketed. And then another threat went out for about 9 o'clock. Hence, probably since about 8:39, you could hear a pin drop outside, which I thought, it's about time I get on my mic. So here I am. And I know you're looking down, Seth, and you're like saying, yes, finally, to get this conservative voice out of Tel Aviv. So what's going to happen with Short Hills Live in the Middle East? Well, it is Short Hills Live, and I am the Middle East. I am the hashtag New Yorker lost in the Middle East. But I would love to have guests. So if you have interest in America, Israel, and want to come on and let's talk politics, let's talk arts, culture, all things innovative coming out of Israel and interesting stuff, let's do it. I really invite you all to reach out, and I'd love to have some conversations with you because speech is good. Speech, good, bad. Even though the bad we don't like to hear and it's hard to hear, it's better that it's out and we talk about it than when it just sits in the darkness. It sits in the darkness and infests, and it's not good for anybody. So let's get our conversation out there. What else? What else? The Urban Mermaid is back in the water and swimming. And you just heard me talking for a bunch of minutes and I didn't cough. So hallelujah. There's a lot to catch up on. I haven't been here for a while. These are going to probably be hashtag with Corona days to connect with the on-camera show I did all through my quarantine / isolation / fear of Corona. So, yeah, that's about it. Should have probably scripted this a little bit better, but since this was a test and finally my mic is working, I'm a happy camper. And if anybody's out there and they're listening and you hear this and you are stressed or tensed or anxiety or anything in regards to sirens and booms, just PM me, just DM me, go directly. How do you say it? Direct to my DM? I don't know what to say. But honestly, there's no judgments, and it's important to talk about these fears. They are legit. Nothing is normal about having hate falling from the sky. The sounds are horrific. It's just it's just not very comfy. So, well, yeah, well, welcome back to me. Woohoo! And I hope to hear from you guys. And if you hear of a story or you know of somebody that should get interviewed, let's bring them on. Let's bring them on to Short Hills Live in the Middle East. Let's make it happen. Could use the helping hand, everybody. Can use the insight. I feel a little bit alone on the island, but you know, this voice girl always seems to be able to work it out. And since I just fixed my mic, thank God, well, the show will go on. So I will see you soon again. And as we always said, and I'm still going to keep it, shalom, shalom. Shalom can be my, and shalom can be high, and shalom can be peace. And let's all pray for peace in the Middle East. Sending you much love. Take care.